So we're here with Alexander Newbold. He's a 16-year-old Italian-Australian racing driver, currently testing with GRS Racing in Spanish F4. Hello, Alex. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. And so about your season, about 2025 so far, how are you feeling?
It's been pretty good. Just a lot of testing in the F4 car and I guess training in the gym because it's only been my pre-season. But I've been putting a lot of work in to try and build the strength and confidence in the car to be ready for my first season and hopefully have a good first season too. Strong start.
And it's a pretty big switch you go from karts, what you just did, to F4. Can you describe the main differences?
I feel like the main difference will probably be the feeling of the car and what it wants because the G forces is so much more. It really feels like the car wants to oversteer in the fast corners, but I think it's just trying to find a balance and learn to trust the car. Be yeah.
And you've only done testing in F4 cars so far.
Yes, correct.
So, and have you felt comfortable with those cars yet?
Oh yeah, like I said, it's quite. I feel like it's quite a good first car. It's very easy and very forgiving. However, just in the high speed corners, you have to trust the car that it does what it's built to do and it won't oversteer.
And do you think you've done testing so far? Do you think qualifying and racing in F4 will be much different?
I feel like the biggest factor affecting that will be the pressure. Just because when you're in qualifying, you're in a race, you'll be there to win or get pole position. So there'll be a lot of pressure, and you just sort of have to focus and block it all out, and just focus on what you got to do, and just try and be the best.
Tracks wise, it's also quite different.
Yeah, very.
So, what would you say is the racetrack you've most enjoyed so far?
I would probably go with Jerez because it's quite a good mix of high speed and low speed corners, as well as it's just a overall really beautiful track in the surroundings. Yeah.
Yeah, it is F1's race there as well.
Yeah, it was
So.
a very good Grand Prix.
And well, the last one you mean 1997?
Something like that. It was
Yeah.
Michael Schumacher's days. It was,
Well, that was the day he got disqualified.
yeah,
So,
not his day
but
that day, but
yeah, no, it was Jacques Villeneuve's day,
yeah.
and Mika Hakkinen first win for him. But and so we're speeding up about around 20 years onwards. 2023 Australian Grand Prix. Max Verstappen won. Second,
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton, and third, Fernando Alonso. That was amazing race. You attended that Grand Prix, and that's what got you in
Yeah.
motorsport, right?
Yeah, it was awesome. It's just the atmosphere and the sound of the engines, and it's just, I think more than a driver, it was just the thrill and the atmosphere of driving itself. But overall, there are so many amazing idols that I have in racing, and I think my biggest one would probably be Verstappen or Senna, because just the mentality and how even in not the best car, they can still manage to pull off miracles, and I think it's just awesome what they can do under pressure.
Mm-hmm. What about Max this year? We see him in a
Oh,
clearly inferior car. He's
yeah.
challenged both McLarens. How did you see the finale?
I must say that was very exciting considering it's been the first time in something like 15 years that it's been three drivers down to Abu Dhabi. I was very impressive run from 104 points to just losing by two. It was very, I think Max really just showed how he's possibly the best on the current grid with his performance this season, yeah.
You're one of the only people I've heard say possibly the best and not definitely.
Well, I mean, sorry, but yeah, I think he is the best this season, but yeah, it's just unbelievable what he was able to do in that Red Bull and sort of, at the start of the season it looked so far gone, but he coming second by 2 points is incredible. I think he is by far, yeah, the driver of the generation, yeah.
And when we're talking about karting, 14 is a pretty unusual
Yeah.
age to start. So can you talk about kind of the disadvantages? Because there's a lot of kids that had their eyes set out on F1 way before 14. Yeah.
I think the biggest disadvantage would just be the track time. Just going to the testing days before the races and just racing in the karts, you could really see the track time difference, as well as just the whole industry of motorsport. As I don't come from a motorsport background, my family have never been into racing, so I'm sort of the first of the generation of racers. So, but I think I've found a good group of people who've been able to help guide me on this journey and sort of get me where I need to be to have a successful career, hopefully.
And before karting, you did Australian rules football, which
Yeah.
I have actually heard about. I have actually heard about.
Wow. Okay, that's new. Whenever I try to explain it to anyone here, it's
Well, yeah, you have to be kind of like a big sports fan or Australian.
Yeah, it's very very Aussie.
And cricket as well.
Yeah.
So about those two sports, what did they teach you before when you made a switch to karting? What did they teach you?
I feel like it was the principles of training and getting up early and just being persistent because these like now with racing it's all very same with the training, getting up early, going to the gym and trying to stay consistent. So I feel like the principles and the fitness aspect still apply as they're both very different sports, but yeah.
So you mentioned Circuito de Jerez before, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's I'm not gonna say it ever, but that doesn't look like it's gonna make a comeback to F1. What track do you most look forward to racing on if you get to F1
Uh,
or on the road?
I think you could call it a bit cliche, but I really look forward to Albert Park because I think growing up my entire life, I lived 15 minutes down the road from there. So every morning waking up, I could hear the engines of the Australian Grand Prix from my bedroom, as well as just with my cricket and footy training. Every 3, 4 days a week, I would be playing cricket or footy in between turns 14 and 15. So I really spent most of my life, driving down those roads or being around the track, especially at school where it was so close. I went to Albert Park College, so as well as right around the corner from the track. So I feel like everything I did in my childhood growing up, it was always near the circuit or on the circuit. So I feel like it'd be really special to race there in front of a home crowd, knowing, I used to be the one in the crowd watching. So I think it'd be really awesome just to race at Albert Park.
Yeah, that would be
It'd be magical.
yeah, that would be a cool story, honestly.
Yeah.
And because last time the Melbourne Hero, he kind of
So I was at the Grand Prix this year. It was crazy weather like usual, but yeah, I was heartbroken for Oscar. But
and and Oscar, he's won F2 F3.
yeah.
But there's been a lot of talk about the kind of political nature of the F1 feeder series ladder. Do you feel a little bit worried about going up maybe against that?
Not really, because I trust my abilities and I trust I have what it takes, and I think with the right people, they can get me where I need to be. Surround myself with the right people and the right team, and I just gotta do what I do best and drive, and I believe I will be able to make it. Yeah.
And if they gave you a blank check, you could
Yeah.
change anything in motorsport.
Wow. Okay. So.
Yeah, that's a pretty big
Yeah.
one.
I just got to think. I'd maybe I guess not. I guess maybe a one-off competition for drivers to really show how good they are, for less of a price and entry for a race, and then if they win, they get a funded F4 season or something up the ladder. Because unfortunately these days the biggest limiting factor I think is money, and I know I've seen a lot of good talents in karting that haven't been able to do much with it because of money, unfortunately. But I feel like if there was some feeder competition that could get them funded seasons with less of a cost, I feel like that'd be really good to see for the motorsport community and the motorsport world.
And I have to ask you about social media. So how did that start?
It was quite random, I must say, because I used to not do much on social media until racing, because I'd sort of just post a few karting updates and karting clips. Then I was approached by a social media company, which I originally thought was a bit of a scam because they sort of just hit me up on Instagram. But then, yeah, I sort of talked to them and we called and they wanted to help me and post and grow my account, which they've done very well. So since then, it's been quite good.
And so you're the one like editing and making the videos?
Not me, unfortunately, my mum, because with school and the gym, it's quite busy, but I help out when I can because it's quite a big ask doing all these social media posts. She's done a very good job.
All right. So congrats to mom. And
Yeah.
do you think it's like an important part to to maintain a social media presence?
I think in this day and age of motorsport, I feel like 80% or 90% is about business, and so you have to if you want to be a good driver, you have to be a good businessman. So I feel like when companies go to look at you, they want to see what you can give to them. So in that way, social media and exposure to people online is a big factor that they look for. So social media I think, is quite key to find those sponsorships and to keep going and keep your name out there.
And alongside that, you also juggle all of that with your studying. So
Yeah.
do you think it's or why do you feel because you study? Why do you feel it is important to keep studying?
Well, I think, although it is quite challenging, I want to show people that you don't have to choose between one or the other. It is possible to do both, and sort of be a role model to all those people in a hard position. And it's not, you don't drop out or become a race driver. That you can do both, but you just have to work twice as hard.
And so we're looking at the future, 2026, just around the corner, and you want to get into French F4, right?
Yeah, French F4, really any F4 that I can drive in. Yeah.
I mean, that is pretty competitive. You look at the champions list there for French F4,
Yeah.
pretty impressive. Got Evan Gilter, Theo Pourchaire, Iwasa, Martens. You've also got F1 bound drivers like Vernier and Van Dorn. How do you think next season will play out if you do make it?
It'll be quite interesting. I've seen the track list. There's a lot of good tracks in there, and it looks like, by the look of things, even better competition. So it'll be a good learning curve. So hopefully, I can get a few learnings out of French F4 to hopefully carry on into Spanish F4.
Do you think there's like a really standout or strong driver on the grid?
I mean, at this rate, I haven't seen, or at this point in time, I haven't seen the grid list, but I'm sure there'll be many great talents, like there always is in motorsport, and I'm looking forward to the challenge and to see what drivers I come up against.
So you've shared track with a lot of drivers,
Yeah, quite a few. Yes. Yeah.
and is there one where you would say that they could make it to F1 in a couple of years?
I mean, all the drivers I've been with on track, they're all so very talented, and these days the difference between first and 20th is all half a second, 6 tenths. So I really think it'll go down to the wire, and it's just, it's anyone's game when it comes down to making it, because they're all talented. But yeah, if I had to choose one, I really couldn't, because they're all such great drivers, and the grid is full of good talent for the future.
And you've got a chance to race in Spanish F4 2027. What about from 2028 onwards? I know we're kind of playing the long game,
Yeah.
but where do you see yourself progressing ideally after that?
I guess besides from overall progression, I'm just thinking, depending on how my F4 season goes, if not the best, I'll maybe do another season F4, but ideally I'd like to progress to Euro Cup or just Formula 3 in general, maybe even FRECA, but in some sort of progression upwards. So,
Freka for 28. Yeah.
I mean, FRECA for F3 Euro Cup any sort of step up? That might be a bit more of a challenge if my F4 goes well. But if not, I'm happy to see what other opportunities arise and go with the flow, I guess.
And what led you to move here to Barcelona?
Well, originally it was not really much of a racing decision, unlike every other driver. It was dad got a job working part time from Spain, so we originally moved from Australia to Spain for dad's work. But then the opportunities for motorsport here were just so much greater. There was a lot more of a motorsport culture, so I thought I'd properly get into it and really wanted to give it a go.
And well, I mean, there's a lot of good drivers. There's the current third place on the standings, Oscar Piastri, that comes
Yeah.
from Melbourne. It's quite peculiar because I mean Barcelona doesn't have a driver on the grid. Melbourne has an F1 driver, and it also got James Warden in F3. You know
Uh,
James Warden?
Yeah,
James
oh,
Warden?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like good enough to be in F3. So it's quite curious when you say that. And so why do you feel that Melbourne was more limited than Spain?
Because I feel like Spain, or just Europe in general, has so much more motorsport around it. While Australia, when you look into it, they have or Oz F4, and then after that, there's no F3. So ultimately, you have to end up moving to Europe anyways. So I think most of the drivers usually move to Europe to F4 beforehand, and then stick with the good team over here, because there's just so much more options here, and I guess it's more, what's the word? It's more flexible.
And so you're Australian, but you're also Italian. How does that help you?
I think probably that I can sort of go anywhere around Europe. I can go wherever the racing needs, or if the team wants me somewhere in Italy, I can go to Italy or Spain, or a dual citizen, so I don't need visa. So it's really, really helpful for when I want to test with other teams or other cars even. I can go there without visa and just really it's just awesome.
And you mentioned before, like the switch from Australian rules football and cricket to karting.
Yeah.
Was that just because of the Melbourne Grand Prix in 23?
Well, in Australia, it was always fun to go rental karting with my mates and whatnot. But there wasn't, as I said, there wasn't too many karting competitions or high level anyways. It was always father and son, never any team karting. So I guess once I came to Spain and realised how popular it was here, I sort of thought, I want to stop doing this for fun and give it a proper go. Because I guess, the idea of chasing that standing on the podium was just so awesome to me. I sort of thought, I'm going to stop doing it for fun and I want to try and see if I can make something out of it.
And what karting team did you race with?
I raced with RC2, who were based in Barcelona, and they were very good. They took me on quite early, and I started with a sort of school program where I'd go every Sunday a few times a month, and I eventually joined their team and did a few different championships with them.
All right, which championships?
I did the Valencian Championship, so the CKCV, I believe, as well as the CCK and the CEK, so sort of just the main Spanish ones.
Mm-hmm. And then you had the little bit of a conversation with the club operations executive at the British Racing Drivings Club. Yeah, you're going.
Sorry. Okay.
No, you go on.
Okay. Yeah, no, that was, I think, probably the most changing or the biggest turning point in my motorsport career, probably be ever, because karting these days has gotten a bit more expensive and we were sort of didn't really know where to go from karting or what to do next. So we were talking to, I believe he was Luke Evans, and he was telling us the best tip we can do at my age was to just sort of start single seaters as early as possible and just to get out of the karts. So I think that was the best decision we ever made, and just to get me in F4 as soon as possible.
And you talked before about financial backing. Why do you think it's such a critical factor, especially in your current stage?
Well, in my current stage, I guess it's just, to get with some of the best teams, it's really unfortunate, but these days motorsport has just gotten so expensive, and it's just, if you want to be able to race, you need to, no matter like how good you are, you always need the funding. So I feel like it's really unfortunate because I've seen so much good talent try and come to F4 even in my karting days, and they just can't progress solely because of money. And I've known some really great drivers, and I think it's quite upsetting, but it's just unfortunate that it's just now you need how much money is needed. Yeah.
And on your side, you do have a pretty strong professional support team?
Yeah, I have quite a good team around me, which is quite good to see. I have good F4 team, and I think a good few mentors to help me on my journey.
Mm-hmm. And you obviously do simulator training?
Yeah.
How does that help prepare you?
I feel like it's very good to learn the track layout, know when to downshift, the racing line, all the basics. I would say the only downside is just like any simulator, you can't stimulate the G-forces. So I feel like around the high-speed corners, that's where the biggest disconnect is, because the feeling the G, it almost feels like the car wants to like oversteer under you. But besides that, I would say the simulator is quite good for learning tracks and getting a feeling for what it'll be like.
And you've also done kart training with Felix Portero. How has he helped you?
Yeah.
I've heard he trained Brad Benavides as well.
Yeah, he's quite amazing, Felix. He's raced GB2 with Lewis, and I think some pre-season he helps with Carlos. But yeah, he's really been able to help me build the endurance and the strength needed to drive Formula 4, especially the KZ karts are brutal on the neck and arms, even more than F4 sometimes. But yeah, he's been really helpful to teach me, just how to push a kart or a vehicle to the limits, and just really get a feeling for when to push, when not to push, and just overall, it's been a really great learning experience having him as a mentor to help me improve at karting. And yeah, especially in the KZ, which was quite new to me this year, a very big step up from X30s. But with his help, I've been able to grasp it quite quickly, and it's been a really awesome journey so far with him.
And so, last question, what do you feel you need the most right now to prepare for your racing?
I feel like at the moment to prepare, besides from just keeping my physical fitness up. So when it does come to those 30-minute or so races, I need to be able to stay fit and keep up the same high intensity for the entire length of the race. It'll probably just be track time and getting a better feeling for the car. So tyre management, how to know when my tyres are warm enough to push, how to cool down my tyres, and how to, it's just I guess feeling in the car and just more track time. But besides that, I feel pretty ready. Just track time and more training, and then yeah.
Right, so Alex, it's been a pleasure to talk with you, and
Yeah.
do wish you the best.
Yeah, thank you
And
for having
everything.
me. It's been awesome. It's good to meet you. Thank you.
Yeah.